Om Ghanatimarandasya Ghananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai. Sri Sri Gauranidai Ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavranda Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Brahmanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. I want to take this opportunity to first thank all the devotees who have helped in organizing this beautiful festival of Sri Krishna Janmashtami. During this three-day period, thousands of devotees, new visitors, guests have come and they have taken part in this festival. If you read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami lists organizing big festivals like Janmashtami as one of the 64 items of devotional service. So if you have participated in it, be it in terms of doing devotional service or taking prasad or just being around, well, if you are around, definitely would have taken prasad. So credit goes equally to everyone. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone, right from sponsors to devotees who have been working day and night in different departments. I was walking around on all those 3 days, just looking at each department devotees out there doing. I love Gopinath's devotees. Everyone is passionate about their area of service. Like everywhere you go and you think this is the most important service, you go to security, you go to, even devotees actually arranging the shoes and sandals right from the beginning. All the way to, you see, Bhakti Bazaar, Garlands team, Kirtan team, Pujari team, and in deity department also we have cooking, and you have the big kitchen cooking. You go everywhere, devotees distributing prasad, cleaning. It's just going round the clock on and on and on. And it's amazing how much we can do with our body. As soon as the festival finishes, we feel deflated. Even moving our body becomes very painful, correct? 3 days we forget about it because you can't afford to. You can't afford to think. I lost my voice because always the kirtan was going loud. To communicate, I have to speak louder. And I know you lose the voice, but you can't do much with that. And then it's not the best situation to take Charanamrit, but you get greedy again, Charanamrit. I know if you drink this, you lose the voice. In morning work, devotees are telling to Prabhupada, some devotees are completely avoiding grain in their food. Prabhupada just cuts that argument or statement and he says, man is a grain-eating animal. That's the first thing Prabhupada says. So you can't completely stop eating grain. And then the second time, in another morning work, Tamalkrishna Maharaj was walking with Prabhupada and he's telling to Prabhupada, some devotees, in the name of eating healthy, they are avoiding prasad and they want to just go with vegetables. And then Prabhupada wasn't very impressed with that. And then Tamalkrishna Maharaj turns to Prabhupada and he says, Prabhupada, but I think it's better you eat prasad and have a short-lived life than extend your life eating, just vegetables. So Prabhupada says, yeah, that's a good proposal. It's not like people who eat prasad, they actually have less. There's a certain ideas we all have. We will just eat vegetables like that. But Prabhupada was actually saying our diet has to be balanced. It needs to have every aspect of it. So anyway, it's when you are presented with that choice, either you protect your voice or you forego Charanamrit. I'll take charna breath and lose the voice. I'll reclaim back the voice later. So thank you, everyone. Shri Radha Gopinath, they make note of everyone's service and they will mercifully reciprocate with each and every one of us. Let's chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra for all the devotees who have taken part in this festival, Prana Rartertiya Vacha, Vani Babu, be it physically present or even online. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahamahotsav ki Jai. We have another festival coming. So tomorrow we have Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And Radhashtami is coming in exactly 2 weeks' time. So, not next Saturday, but the Saturday after that, we'll be having Radhashtami that day. Okay, so last week we are continuing our discussion with Narada Muni visiting the Pandavas in Hastinapur. And we saw the glorification of each one of the or refutation of the glorification of each one of the Pandavas. We concluded with Draupadi, how she was telling Narada Muni that after she lost all her family members, Drupada, Drishtidumna, Shikandi, Draupadi had 2 brothers, all of them in the war, how when even she lost all the Upapandavas also, all the 5 sons of the Pandavas. So she completely lost so many of her family members. Krishna acted as her dear friend and he consoled her. And just by seeing the beautiful face of Krishna, Draupadi was feeling solace within her heart that even though she had lost so many of them, she still has Krishna as her dear friend. And now Kunti Maharani, after hearing each one of the different Pandavas, the 5 Pandavas speak, as well as Draupadi, now Kunti Maharani starts to refute the glorification that the Pandavas definitely are not, they are favored by Krishna, but not the most favored by Krishna. Verse 82, chapter 5. Sri Parikshit said, Mother Kunti, for whom the sight of Krishna was life, seemed tormented with sorrow, remembering how Krishna had at times shown his mercy and at other times not. She then spoke pitifully with tears in her eyes. Shri Prita, which is Kunti Maharani, said, I had no husband to protect me, but Sri Krishna always interceded just in time to save me and my sons from calamity. From this I understood that Krishna's mercy on me was special, greater than his mercy on his mother, Devaki. When Krishna and Balaram were invited by Kamsa to go to Mathura, Akrura acts as the messenger, taking them. And then Krishna, upon arriving in Mathura, he goes for a stroll, and in the wrestling match that ensued, Krishna killed Kamsa along with many of his other friends, including the wrestlers. After that, Krishna tells Akrura to go and visit Hastinapur to understand about the situation there, especially with Pandavas. So Krishna, at every step, he was with Pandavas. As soon as Krishna killed Kamsa, Krishna immediately took charge of the life of the Pandavas. You won't see much interaction between Krishna and Pandavas. You won't see any interaction at all when Krishna was in Vrindavan. But as soon as Krishna comes to Mathura, he immediately takes full responsibility for them, sending Akrura to find about the situation about Pandavas, to see whether they are comfortably situated. And then Kunti Maharani here she lists, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, how Krishna had protected the Pandavas at every step. Now here, if you read this verse carefully, she says, from this I understand that Krishna's mercy on me was special, greater than even his mercy on his mother Devaki. So Kunti Maharani is acknowledging Krishna's mercy upon her. Now how is she saying the mercy which Krishna gave to her is greater than even that showered upon his own mother Devaki? Was firstly, if you read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in fact that's how the whole pastime starts, with the 10th canto, first chapter, very first chapter, about how on the occasion of the marriage between Devaki and Vasudeva, Vasudeva was son of Surasena. Kamsa was driving the chariot. In Vedic custom, the brother of the bride would drive, because the bride, she is going away from their home. She would feel completely tormented being away from her family members. So in order to pacify her, usually her brother would drive, take the bride and bridegroom to their home, spend time with them, settle her there, and then only he would return back. So in this case, Kamsa, he is a cousin and he is driving the chariot, and that's when he hears the Akashvani, the divine voice from the sky, that you fool, the people who you are driving in chariot, it's their eighth son who's going to be the cause of your death. So Kamsa immediately he raises his sword, ready to kill Devaki. And at that time, Vasudeva, he stops, he dissuades Kamsa from pursuing that heinous act. And then Vasudeva, being a man of his word, he gives a promise to Kamsa that he would come and he would deliver the son as soon as he would come and deliver each one of the child as soon as they were born. So Kamsa was very much appeased by that statement, because he knew about the integrity of Vasudeva. So soon after, what happens is Devaki, she gives birth to the first child, and Vasudeva, true to his word, he carries the child into Kamsa. Now this act of Vasudeva really touches the heart of Kamsa, and he says, he feels very bad, and he says that do not worry about this child, it's only the eighth child who's going to be the cause of worry for me, so you don't worry about it. You can bring me the eighth child, please go back. Vasudeva, on one hand, he's happy that his child is spared, but on the other hand, Shukadeva Goswami says, Vasudeva knew all too well, people like Kamsa can't be trusted. Anytime they may change. And true to his premonition, Narada Muni arrives in the scene. Narada Muni is eagerly awaiting Krishna's descent to this world. And here he sees a suddenly change of heart in Kamsa. He doesn't want Kamsa to be a good guy. So he immediately comes and he scares Kamsa, because Narada Muni wanted Krishna to descend down soon, as soon as possible, to wipe out all the demoniac people. So Narada Muni goes and then he reveals about Kamsa's previous life, that you were Kalanemi and you were killed by Krishna. And second thing he says, that all the people like Nanda, Yashoda, everyone who are born in Gokula, they are all incarnation of demigods. So as soon as Kamsa hears this, he starts to feel insecure, and then he races back to the residence of Vasudeva Devaki, snatches the child, kills, and he imprisons them also. So during the first time when she delivered the child, they were not imprisoned yet. It's only after the delivery of the first child when he comes to know about the background in which he was killed, the background in which he understood that all the residents of Vrindavan, they are all coming from celestial kingdom. So then he arrests them, puts them. And now Devaki was giving birth one child after the other, and Kamsa was killing. So in this way he killed one after the other the first 6 children of Vasudeva and Devaki. 7th child, when she conceived, at the time Krishna calls Yogamaya, and then he tells to Yogamaya that my plenary expansion, which is Lord Balaram, is appearing in the womb of Mother Devaki, and he asks Yogamaya to move Balaram to Rohini Mata's womb. So when that transfer happened, everyone thought that Devaki had a miscarriage, because suddenly the baby was gone. Then she was also crying, she had a miscarriage. And then Krishna was born. Prabhupada explains in detail, you can read the 2nd and 3rd chapter of Krishna book, how Krishna, he didn't appear through normal seminal discharge. Instead, he first appeared within the heart of Vasudeva. Then he moved from the heart of Vasudeva to the heart of Mother Devaki, and from her heart he then goes to her womb. And during that time, even the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, they descend down and they offer Garbhastuti. Prayers they offer to the Supreme Lord within the womb of Mother Devaki. Now during all this time, Mother Devaki had to suffer. To tolerate the loss of one child itself is very painful, and that too immediately after birth in such a heinous way. Now she suffered through this ordeal not once, not twice, 7 times. 6 times right in front of her own eyes she saw her children being killed. 7th time, without knowing about the appearance of Balaram, she felt she had a miscarriage. 8th time also, when Krishna was born, Krishna was immediately taken away to Gokula by Vasudeva. So even though she had a son who was born hale and healthy, still as soon as he was born he had to be taken away. So all this time, during the time when she conceived and she was carrying the child, for each one of those years she had to suffer. Plus, when Krishna and Balaram were in Vrindavan for close to 12 years, she had to suffer still in the prison. Finally Krishna comes to Mathura, kills Kamsa, relieves Vasudeva and Devaki, and reinstates Ugrasena as the king of Mathura again. Kunti Maharani is saying this is what Devaki had to go through. And she says, on the other hand, in her prayer to Krishna, this is in 1st chapter, she says, my dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake. Immediately, when Duryodhana was feeding Bhima poisoned cake, it actually acted in his favor. We were discussing how he was taken to the Nagaloka and then he was arrested there, and then Duryodhana gave him poisoned cake, and in return Bhima had power of 10,000 elephants. He comes back with that. So Krishna immediately had saved from a great fire. When the Pandavas, along with Mother Kunti, they were attempted to be burnt alive. At that time Krishna saves them. From cannibals, when they are in the forest, at that time they were attacked by man-eating Rakshasas like Hidimba. Bhima kills them. From vicious assembly, where the gambling match happened, from the sufferings during our exile in the forest, so many instances. Even last week we were touching on Durvasa Muni, how he went along with the 60,000 disciples to take food, and from the battle where the great generals fought, which is Kurukshetra war. Each one of these instances, if you carefully observe, Krishna never left their side. Instantly, immediately, Krishna was always with them. So much so that Kunti Maharani was saying, Vipadat Santata Dashvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru. My Lord, may this trouble keep on coming to us again and again. Why? It's these troubles which is keeping you by our side all the time. So citing all this, Kunti Maharani is saying, I am more favored by Krishna than the mercy he showered upon his own mother. So this is her reasoning. But now the thought that Krishna is merciful to me never enters my mind. Why? Kurukshetra war is over. The Vedic rule, devotional rule of the whole land of Jambudvipa was re-established and Yudhishthira is made the king. Everything is going very nicely. But now the thought that Krishna is merciful to me never enters my mind. No more trouble. For everywhere in our home and the homes of our neighbors, I hear the loud mourning of the women whose relatives are being slain. This is just a material reason she is saying. But the actual reason why she is saying, I don't feel the mercy of the Lord is, Krishna is not there, physically present. He has left the Pandavas because he had been staying away from Yadus for a long time, from Dwarka, and he had returned back because of that. Therefore, deprived of seeing him, I begged Krishna to take away our wealth and give us more calamities, to bring him again within our sight. You will never come across a prayer as unique as this one. Have you ever come across anything? Normally, even when pure devotees pray, they pray, my Lord, please help us not to forget your lotus feet. Nobody goes and openly prays, my Lord, please give me trouble. Kunti Maharani does. Krishna gave the Pandavas their kingdom freed from thorny opponents. Now, thinking the brothers satisfied, he had abandoned us and resides in Dwarka. So I have given up hope that he will ever come back. Now I think his real mercy would be my quick death. So for all these devotees, the only purpose of living is to serve Krishna, to see Krishna, to be with him all the time, 24/7. My last thread of hope that Krishna is always compassionate to his friends and relatives can easily break if I simply consider how strongly he is attached to the Yadus. Now she is diverting all the glorification towards the Yadus. I'll read this. Listen to this carefully. My last thread of hope can easily break if I simply consider how strongly he is attached to the Yadus. So she is saying, Narada Muni may actually ask her, Krishna in the past also had gone and he has come back. Why do you say Krishna is not going to come back? So she is saying, I have some hope, but now I understand there's no problem for us, which means there's no reason for Krishna to drop everything and run towards us. Point number one. And secondly, he is not staying in a place where he is very indifferent. He is staying in a place where he is surrounded, pampered by the Yadus, and he is very much attached to them also. Which means, first of all, he will not feel like going away from them, and second, there's no reason for him to be here either. Because of these two reasons, she says, I don't have any hope. Best is, I get my death quick. Therefore, go see the divine Yadavas, the Lord's most beloved associates, who live immersed in a vast, unequaled ocean of joy. My Lord Narada, you know very well how great they are. What can I tell you about their glories? Because Kunti Maharani also knew that Narada Muni had visited Dwarka before. And in Krishna book we can see the description about how Narada Muni goes to different palaces of Krishna and he sees how Krishna is engaged in a seemingly mundane familial affairs. In some places, Prabhupada writes, Narada Muni could see Krishna playing with his kids, hide and seek. In some places, he is romancing with his queens. In some places, he is giving instructions to the citizens and the ministers. So Narada Muni could see Krishna engaged in all those activities, seemingly mundane activities. So Kunti Maharani is saying, you have already visited, we know that you have already visited, just go back there and see for yourself how Krishna is showering upon the most favor, maximum mercy upon these Yadus. Sri Parikshit said, O mother, O wife of Lord Yadavendra's nephew. Why he is saying specifically here, wife of Lord Yadavendra's nephew is, now the glorification, or rather the quest of Narada, it started, if you remember, different places. We saw Brhad to South India, to Indralok, to Satyalok, to Shivaloka, to Sutala planet, to see Prahlad Maharaj, From there to Kimpurushavarsa to Hanuman, from Hanuman to Hastinapur to see the Pandavas, and from Pandavas it's going to Yadus in Dwarka. So here, Narada Muni had already gone from one place to the other, to the other, to the other. He has now been told to go to Dwarka to meet the Yadus. And now Parikshit Maharaj is taking this opportunity to remind his own mother. Who is his own mother? Uttara. Who is Uttara? Wife of Abhimanyu. Who is Abhimanyu? Son of Subhadra Maharani. And who is Subhadra Maharani? A resident of Dwarka. So he is specifically saying, O wife of Lord Yadavendra's nephew. Yadavendra's nephew is Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu also grew up in Dwarka only, when the Pandavas were in exile. So Krishna personally trains him in Dwarka. So Uttara also has a relationship with the Yadus. So he wants to tell her that you are also a member of such exalted family, who is most favored by Krishna. Okay, so he wants to make her understand, to make her realize that you too are an exalted devotee, being a member of such a great family. Sri Parikshit said, O mother, O wife of Lord Yadavendra's nephew, which is Abhimanyu. The exalted sage Narada swiftly arrived at Sri Dwaraka. He entered the inner city, repeatedly offering prostrate obeisances, and saw from a distance the fortunate Yadu heroes. He beheld them sitting at ease in the blessed assembly hall Sudharma. So this hall of Sudharma, Krishna brings from Indraloka. And this hall, whoever actually walks in, whoever sits there, they will only speak the truth. Definitely we can't build a parliament of any country, in that hall. Or a court in modern days, it's very difficult. Only the truth will be spoken, who sits there. And Krishna brings it because it has come from Indraloka, it's already opulent. But that same Sudharma hall, it's taken from the Swargaloka and is now implanted in Dwarkapuri. So here, Lakshmi ji, she exhibited much more greater opulence, greater than even Vaikuntha, it's given in Bhagavatam. That's how much opulence she manifested. And in this assembly, all the Yadus were seated. Now, in Yadu family, if you see, even in this assembly, there are men or kings, royal members of different age. So even the way how they are seated is from the most senior to the next senior, next senior, next senior, like that. Whoever who is most senior, they would get to sit closer to Krishna. So in this assembly, Narada Muni is walking and he is beholding the great sight of all the Yadus along with their family members, citizens, they are all there assembled, and he sees the kings seated in both the sides on their thrones, members of the royal families. Even though many of them were very, very senior by age, because their mind is always thinking about Krishna, they were all looking youthful. Prabhupada once, when he arrives in a temple or in a city to visit the temple, reporters ask him, so Swamiji, how was your travel? Then Prabhupada says, when I was traveling to this place, I met a bishop in the flight, and he asked me, Swamiji, what do you do to all these young boys and girls? Their face looks very effulgent. And Prabhupada smiles. Yeah, what you're saying is true. Your observation is right. Prabhupada says like that. And he repeats that again when he speaks to the journalists. That whoever who is actually thinking about Krishna, whoever who meditates on Krishna, they will never grow old. Body may sometimes look old. But within their heart, if you think about it, old age is not so much the effect of your body as much as the enthusiasm of your spirit. If we think, Prabhupada says, even if you look at Prabhupada, you can't brush aside Prabhupada as, okay, yet another senior sadhu, yet another older sadhu, 70-year-old. During Prabhupada's Antilila, he was more than 80. 80-year-old, you cannot say that. In one place, Prabhupada says to some of his sannyas disciples, actually our relationship is spiritual. And then Prabhupada says, normally nobody likes an old man. Especially young people never like old men, he says like that. In somebody who is in peak of youth, old man is the last person, last choice for them to associate with. But Prabhupada says, but look at how attached you all are. This is the proof that our relationship is not material. Prabhupada says like that. So here, this is the scene. Narada Muni sees, he offers obeisances to all of them. And then you will see each one of the members, they run. They leave the seat and they will run towards Narada Muni. Now even though the Dwarkavasis, they are endowed with so much wealth, so much opulence, and they are still exhibiting their bodily beauty, strength, than their own opulence, we should not mistake that they are attached to them. They are not attached to them at all. They accepted all of those opulences because they found it suitable for Krishna's service. That's all. Imagine Krishna is the king and Krishna is in the assembly. Except the Krishna, do you think it will be suitable for each one of them to just wear some, torn clothes? We are very simple, humble Vaishnavas. It's not befitting the service. Does that make sense? In one place, one disciple of Prabhupada, he comes to Prabhupada and he says, Prabhupada, today I visited a businessman, very wealthy businessman, and I sold him one set of your books and I made him as a life member. In those days, to make a life member, you have to collect $1,111. 1111, not dollars, rupees. This is in 70s. And then they would get a complete set of Srila Prabhupada's books and they can stay in the temple for 3 days, whichever ISKCON temple they go. So when he told to Prabhupada, and this story is narrated by this disciple of Prabhupada, and he tells to Prabhupada, this is what I did. Normally when Prabhupada hears that news, he will be very happy. So he wanted to make Prabhupada happy, so he is saying, Prabhupada looks at him, smiles, acknowledges his service, and then Prabhupada says, you could have actually asked more from this businessman. Why? Because his capacity is more. Normal person, if you go and make them a life member, yeah, that's a great achievement. And then this disciple actually writes in his book, yes, what Prabhupada says is right. I could have asked him maybe $10,000 to help us build, Radha Rasbihari Temple or Vrindavan project, like that. So, what we need to understand is, what is it that we think based on the intelligence which Krishna gives us, what is it that we think is suitable for Krishna's service? In one Kumbh Mela only, this is the first time when Bhakti Sharma Maharaj writes about this pastime in Ocean of Mercy, you can read. So he was seated there, first time he is meeting Prabhupada, he is in the group, and then one person asked a question to Srila Prabhupada. Swamiji, why are you trying to build new temples everywhere? When there are already so many dilapidated temples. Everywhere you can adopt them and you can refurbish them. That way you will make them more suitable. What's the need? And then Prabhupada answers him indirectly. First question Prabhupada asks him was, is that your wife? Pointing at the Mataji right next to him. He gets shocked. What am I asking and what he's saying? And then, yes, Swamiji. Then Prabhupada says, why did you marry? And then this person is already in shock. He doesn't know how to respond. And then Prabhupada himself answers, you marry because you want to get a child. That's the purpose of marriage. And then this person says, yes, Swamiji. Then Prabhupada asks him the question, Why do you want a child when there are so many orphans in the street? You can just adopt some of them and you can give them a better life. And now this person was completely stumped. Then Prabhupada responds, just like how even though there may be many orphans, you still want your own child, similarly there may be many temples which are already there, but devotees want to worship Krishna in a certain way. That's why they are building new temples. And the person was convinced. So here we can see the Yadus, they exhibit all this opulence, all this wealth, all this show of strength, so to speak, not because they are in material consciousness, not because they want to prove a point, it's simply because they all find this is how suitably they can serve Krishna, favorably they can serve Krishna. We are also in the process of getting permission to rebuild this temple, knock it down and rebuild again. So when we think, we have to think big. We have to think for next 150 to 200 years. Definitely none of us will be around. If you are around, it's a problem. Not in this body, let me put it that way. Definitely we want to be around all the time. So when we think, we should not think this is for future generation. This is for us. We are doing it for next generation. I was speaking, we are in the process of actually approaching different families. We are starting with the core. So far our response has been very, very overwhelming. So thank you everyone. If you haven't actually heard from us, we have already approached some of you, I can see in this crowd. You will hear from us soon. I remember I was telling to one family, see, I haven't even built a room in my home, in my life. We are doing this so that the worship of Krishna can be perpetuated. So the temple can actually have the facility for many, many thousands and thousands of people forever. So whenever we do something, we have to leave it. Anything. I remember when I went for paraphernalia service in our deity department in 2006. First time I went, there was a brahmachari here at that time. He told me, Brahmanas means they will leave the place cleaner than how they found it. You go, however you actually see the place, you use the place, when you leave, you have to leave the place clean. It went deep. Yeah, what he says makes sense. And he says, Shudras means one who makes the place more dirty than how it is left. Simple lesson. So he said it's simply the tendency. If you want to acquire more Brahmanical qualities, he said, then make it more clean. That's all. Induction program over. You know. I still remember it everywhere in the temple. So we have to remember simple things only. Okay, so here Yadus, they are doing what is needed for Krishna service. They were being regaled by festive song and dance in most celestial style and praised by bards in splendidly tasteful words. Many kinds of precious, this is what Narada Muni is observing, what's happening in Sudharma Hall in Dwaraka. Many kinds of precious ornaments decorated the Yadavas. And even some of the most elderly members of the assembly had obtained new youth by constantly enjoying the nectar of Sri Krishna's lotus face. Ayur harati vaipumsam udyam astam chayaneshav tasyate chananicha uttama shloka vartaya. It's given by the rising and setting of the sun. Everyone's life is snatched away by a day. Ayur harati. Harati means it's taken away. Ayur harati vaipumsam udyam astam. Rising and the setting of sun. Setting of sun. Udyam astam chayaneshav tasyarte, except for those who are engaged in chanting the glories of Krishna. For those who enjoy in chanting the glories of Krishna, time stops. Recently, I went to a home program for one devotee. One of my Karmi friend, invited. He was living nearby. So when I was driving past his home, I just stopped, gave him prasad. He told me something interesting. He looked at me and he said, "You look the same." And it was interesting because he is not a practicing devotee, but they could see from outside. You look the same, time stopped for you. And he said, if I show you my college photo, you wouldn't agree how I actually look, whether I look the same or not. He told me like that. But I was thinking, when he said that, I was thinking about this verse. For those who are engaged in service of the Lord, for us, time doesn't go away. Because we have engaged everything in service of the Lord. Whether we are in this body or next body, doesn't matter. Enthusiasm only will keep on growing. On the other hand, if we turn the attention away from Krishna and start to just serve ourselves, serve this body, what will happen is, with every moment, we will take one step closer to death, closer. So we have to be mindful how we are engaging all the resources in service of Krishna. I am talking about time here, money also, intelligence also, body as well, everything has to be in service of Krishna. So here, Yadus, they perfected. How did they maintain their youth? By constantly engaging in service of Krishna. Surrounding Maharaj Ugrasena, the Yadavas glowed brilliantly as with reverent eagerness they awaited the arrival of Sri Krishna. So everyone is assembled already. Normally the king arrives at the end, correct? Here the king is waiting for Krishna. King is Ugrasena, he is seated on the assembly. Assembly is filled except Krishna's seat, and everyone is eagerly awaiting when is Krishna going to come. This is their position. Countless millions of Yadavas waited. Normally when we think about Dwaraka, we think it's sometimes you may read in some magazines, some news articles about how some celebrities, they own islands. How many of you have read something like that? Okay, we have. And you look at the map, they call it island, but it may be like from here to St. Leonard's, some tiny tract of land, that's all, nothing else. But they make a big show of it. On the other hand, when you think about Dwaraka, because we come from this background, when we think of Dwaraka, Krishna erected in the middle of the sea, what do we think? Maybe just like one other island, that's what we think. Krishna had 16,108 wives. And through each one of them, of course, there are 8 principal queens it's given. Rukmini, Satyamaba, Jambavati, you will come across all of them. Kalindi, Lakshmana, Mitravinda, Satya, also known as Nagnajiti, Bhadra, these are 8 chief queens. So 16,108 wives he had. He built one palace for each one of them. And he had 10 sons through each one of them. How many sons did Krishna have then? 16,108 multiplied by 10, which is 161,000 sons only. I'll read out the reference that's given in Bhagavatam about how many teachers were there. There were 38.8 million teachers in Dwarka alone. So you can imagine, even if one teacher has a dozen students, how many families there must have been? What is the population? How many schools does New South Wales have? Actually, it's more than Australian population. This is England population almost. How much is England population? 60 million, I think. So this is 38.8 million teachers alone. This is just young boys. This is teachers for young boys, Gurukuls. So now you calculate how much the total population of Dwarka must have been. Millions. Okay, when there are 38.8 million teachers only, so you can imagine how many residents there must have been. So it's not a tiny fort. Okay, it's not like a prison, Guantanamo Bay. It's not like some remote facility. It's not like that. It's a huge country that was in the middle of the ocean. So that's the description is given. Countless millions of Yadavas waited, absorbed in talk about Krishna, their minds and eyes anxiously focused on the path from Krishna's inner palace. As soon as the Yadus learned that Narada had arrived, they came running out in a flurry. They quickly raised him from the ground and took him by the hands and led him to the assembly hall. They offered him a large heavenly seat, but he refused to sit on it. Yielding to his desire, they gave him a place to sit on the ground, and they all sat down around him. Here they are exhibiting how detached they are. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishana. Krishna says, Janma bandha nirvinirmukta padam gachanti anamayam. This is Bhagavad Gita 2.51. Krishna is saying, great people in the past, karmajam buddhi yukta hi, they were doing their service phalam tyaktva manishana, but they have given up the results of all their activities. Because of that, what do they gain? What do they achieve? Janma bandha vinirmukta. They become detached, they become liberated. Padam gachanti anamayam. Then, because of their detachment from enjoying the results of their activities, padam gachanti anamayam. They became qualified to go back to Goloka Vrindavan. This is what Krishna is saying. This is the first place where Krishna speaks about spiritual world. Of course, in later chapters, he will give more detail. So here we can say, on one hand, we are seeing all these great Yadus, youthful looking, decorated with all the opulences, looking very beautiful, very strong, and they are seated on their own opulent thrones in Sudharma hall. As soon as they see Narada Muni, they kick the throne away and they run towards him. Bring him, give him an elevated seat, which Narada Muni declines and he sits on the floor. What do all the others do? They also sit on the floor now, suddenly. 1 second later, you see them seated on the floor. That's how detached they are. Why? Because they understand this is what Krishna needs at this point of time. Sri Narada said, O greatest receivers of the mercy of Krishna's lotus feet, you are all transcendental persons. Today, please be merciful to me. Please bless me that I may wander always throughout the universe, constantly singing your glories. Prabhupada would often say, one of the 9 symptoms that are actually given for those in Bhava platform, Avyartha Kalatvam. Avyartha Kalatvam means, initially when you come to Krishna consciousness, you will chant. Even if you chant 2 rounds, it may take 15-20 minutes. And then you will feel you have a lot of time, and then you would start to do some service. Not for long, 10 minutes. But you think you have done for 10 hours, that's a different thing. So we do for 10 minutes, and then we think, I have done so much. Can you want to take break also? What's there to take break? Have you come across that mentality sometimes? You serve for 2 hours, and then you think you have overworked, and then you end up taking break for 20 hours. This is how we initially start. But then as we progress in bhakti, when we come to the 8th stage, which is bhava, one of the symptoms, if we really want to know whether we are progressing in bhakti, is one of the symptom is avyartha kalatvam. Avyartha kalatvam means we'll be very, very cautious how each moment is going away. Ayusha kshanayakapi nalabhya swarna kotipihi nache nirarthakamniti kacha hanis tatodika. This is a verse by Chanakya Pandit. Prabhupada would often quote. Chanakya Pandit says, Ayusha kshanayakapi. Kshana means moment. Moment means like 1/12 of a second, not even 1 second. 1/12. Like lava matra. Ayusha kshana ekopi nalabhya swarna kotipihi. One moment that goes away, you can't gain it back even in exchange of swarna means what? Gold. Swarna kotipihi. Even with millions of gold coins, you cannot trade. You cannot buy back even a moment. Nache nirarthakamniti kacha hanis tatodika. This being the case, what would be the greatest loss in one's life? Not losing job, not losing your property, not losing court case, not losing, going bankrupt. What could be a greater loss in one's life than the time spent uselessly? This is what Chanakya Pandit says. So here Narada Muni, he cuts to the chase, he doesn't waste time, and he says, oh most favored devotees of Krishna, please give me your blessings so that I may engage the rest of my life in just traveling around and glorifying. He is just telling them, I don't even want to waste a moment. I immediately want to engage in glorifying all of you. Indeed, this family of the Yadus is most praiseworthy. You are more radiant than the residents of Vaikuntha. By your grace, this world of men has surpassed Vaikuntha and attained supreme glory. He is telling them, you are more glorious than even the residents of Vaikuntha, than even Garuda. I was recently reading Samudramandan Leela. There, initially they tried to pick up the Mandara mountain, the famous churning of the milk ocean by demons and demigods. They couldn't carry, they were trying to lift. It was so heavy, even for the demons and Rakshasas, that many got crushed. They tried to lift and they got crushed by the hill. So then Vishnu takes compassion on them. He rides on the back of Garuda. He picks up the hill and then he revives all of them, brings them back to life. And then he picks up this hill, puts on back of Garuda. He sits on top of that hill. So Garuda, when he carries, hill is there, and on top of that Krishna is also there. So he comes, places it. As soon as it comes, Krishna tells to Garuda, thank you for your service, now you can take a break and please leave the scene. And Prabhupada there writes, Krishna asks Garuda to go because as long as Garuda is around, Vasiki won't feel comfortable coming. Vasiki is the snake, they are natural enemies. He is scared of, all the snakes are scared of Garuda. So Prabhupada says, as long as he is present, Vasiki won't come. So Krishna told Garuda to please leave the place. Then Garuda flaps and he goes away. So here Narada Muni is telling to the Yadus that you are more favored than even the residents of Vaikuntha. Normally this kind of mercy is not given to people in this world, in Martyaloka. Ordinary humans. But here Narada Muni is saying, you have brought this devotional service of Krishna which surpasses even that which is available in Vaikuntha. So that's how greatly fortunate they are. Most fortunate Mother Earth, by your fruitful endeavors, these Yadus have manifest upon your surface their birth, residence and pleasing acts. Now he is shifting his attention towards glorifying Dharani Devi or Bhumi Devi. That normally we say heavenly planets. Almost every day you will come across some news, a distant galaxy is found. A galaxy, a planet which is found, I don't know, 1,000,000 times bigger than Earth, 1,000,000,000 times bigger than Sun. You lose track of it. How many times are you scared when you're finding out? Just accept the Shastra. Sometimes it's just, and everyone spots it and they give their name also. If you like, you can also guess the stars and you can also name something. So, what can we do with that? So here it's given, most fortunate Mother Earth, because you have given shelter. It's on your own body, it's on your own surface, do all these Yadus have descended upon, taken birth and they are performing their activities. You are also glorified. Krishna has now forgotten Vaikuntha, for he is bound by intense, unbreakable, loving exchanges with these Yadus. He sees the Yadus, touches them, talks with them, sits with them, he eats and sleeps with them, follows them when they walk, takes part in their marriage ceremonies. See, Krishna likes to attend marriage ceremonies also. And shares in their other activities of embodied life. These relations are more tangible than the yogi's union with him in meditation. Thus, by his pastimes, Krishna spreads among the Yadus infinite pleasure, ever fresh and indescribable, destroying any desire they may have for heaven or liberation and increasing more and more their devotion to him. While eating, sleeping, sitting, walking, speaking, bathing, enjoying diversions, the Yadus are so absorbed in pure love for Krishna that they even forget their own families and possessions. So many instances you will come across, like for example, when Rukmini, when she sends a letter to Krishna, that ever since I have heard about you from Narada Muni, I have given my heart to you. My marriage has been fixed with Shishupal. If you don't come to get my hand in marriage, I will give up my life. So Krishna, as soon as he sees this message, he runs away from battlefield. Ranacho Rai ki Jai. And then he goes. Next day morning, when Rukmini, when she was going to worship Mother Parvati in the temple, at that time Krishna comes, blows the punch. Krishna is not kidnapping Rukmini, in the dead of the night. Krishna comes and he tells to everyone, hey, it's me, And you will see, Krishna comes, he picks Rukmini, places her on chariot and he drives. And everyone around, knowing very well who Krishna is, it looks like almost like a comedy movie. Everyone sees what Krishna is doing, but everyone is scared also. Krishna, all he has to do is just release one chakra. So nobody is ready to fight with them and everyone is scared. And Krishna just waves at them, okay, bye bye, and he just keeps driving. And then suddenly, the demons, they collect themselves and they try to wage war. Krishna defeats all of them. And in the process, Krishna arrests Rukmini's brother, Rukmi. He defeats him, and then Krishna, he's master of insulting also. So Krishna, he partly shaves his head, leaving some shika everywhere. One shika is okay. Imagine if your head is full of shika everywhere. This is how Krishna humiliates Rukmi. While this is happening, Rukmini happily goes, with Krishna. But then Balaram intervenes there and mildly chastises, because Balaram is very personal and Balaram feels, she has already given up everyone, and Krishna, as if that is not enough, he has also insulted her brother, So Balaram takes some consideration and he goes and mildly chastises Krishna in the presence of Rukmini. You shouldn't have done that. After all, he's your brother-in-law, like that. So Rukmini feels a little good. Yeah, somebody in this family actually is supporting me. But then later you will see, you fast forward, Krishna has married 16,108 wives. And with each one of them he had 10 sons. Rukmi, he's still the brother of Rukmini, he is still very attached to Rukmini. And he wants to continue with that relationship. So he offers his daughter and granddaughter to Krishna's son and grandson. In one such marriage you will see, when Rukmi's granddaughter's marriage is actually happening, all the entourage from Dwaraka, they would go visit his kingdom. And as with the normal custom in those days, in fact they even do these days, the perverted version, they actually play a game of gambling. So during that whole gambling process, Balaram is there, and Rukmi was actually instigated by one of his friend, the king of Kalinga. It's given, he tells him, you challenge, get Balaram and you can win the gambling match. So they keep a bet, 100 gold coins. Balaram loses. Every time Balaram loses, Kalinga mocks at Balaram, showing his teeth. Then Balaram is little irritated, he ignores him. They increase the bet, now 1,000 coins. Again they play the gambling match. You can read in Krishna book, Prabhupada explains so nicely. You read stories, Prabhupada said, whoever reads Krishna book before going to bed, you will see Krishna in dreams. How many of you have seen Krishna in dreams? How many of you have read Krishna book? Keep reading before going to bed. Prabhupada says you will see Krishna in dream. So every day, even 5 minutes, 10 minutes before going to, always all you will remember is office work. I used to get year 12 public exam, which I used to write, 20 years ago. So much, I think it went deep. Seriously, midnight sleep, even after joining temple, I used to get that dream. Question paper is there, another one whole page is left, and only half an hour left, and you remember. And you think, and then exam, you wake up already. That exam was finished. I sometimes think this is post-traumatic crisis. And now, after reading Krishna book for a long time, okay, I don't get dreams anymore, bad dreams anymore. But for bad dreams, we were saying Gajendra Moksha. 2 times it's given us Falastuti. If you want to get rid of bad dreams, you can read Gajendra Leela. Okay, so it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto. You can get the Bhagavatam set. Bhadra Purnima offer is still there. You can get the whole volume of 12 books, I think $300. And you can read Gajendra Moksha. Gajendra Moksha, if you read Falastuti, which is given 2 times back-to-back verses, Shukadeva Goswami says, you won't see nightmares anymore. So here, he shows off his teeth and then he mocks at Balaram. Now again, $1,000, they increase the bet. Balaram again loses. This time again, Kalinga also, he makes fun. And instigates Rukmi, who is brother of Rukmini, continue defeating him. Now Balaram again he gets irritated, 10,000 coins, 10,000 gold coins. And this time Balaram wins. But Rukmi, he still claims he is the winner. And then this time again Kalinga, again he mocks, harasses Balaram. Then Balaram now increases the bet to 1 million gold coins. This time they play, again Balaram wins. But Rukmi this time, again he claims he is the winner. And Balaram says, no, I am the winner. And it's given voice from the heaven, everyone could hear, they say Balaram is the winner. Have you ever come across any gambling match? Gambling is something we should not do. When Supreme Lord plays gambling, even heavenly voice comes to their aid. We are not in that category. So gambling is one of the 4 vices. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. So we should not follow. We are humans, but this is Supreme Lord. It's not the same material gambling. When Supreme Lord plays, he knows when to win. He knows when to act as if he is losing. For us, whether you act or in real, you will always lose. They say that's how they design the pokies machine also. Initially, it will give you little win, and then you think, wow, I can win it, and then that's the only time you would have won, and then you will keep on losing. So this time, even after Akashvani speaks, Rukmi doesn't agree. He still claims he is the winner. Kaling also says, no, Rukmi is the winner. This time, Balaram picks up his club. Need I say more? First he beats Rukmi on his head, collapse. He is dead, gone, like that. And then he catches. As soon as everyone sees, suddenly 1 second later, Balaram is tolerating, picks up the club, tap, gone. Now, if somebody had mocked at Kalinga, what would have been going on in their head, right? Immediately Kalinga thinks, I need to run. He runs, Balaram catches him. And then it's given, he catches him, and normally when somebody catches you so much, what do you do? Right? And then Balaram takes the club, and then it's mentioned that he broke all his teeth because he showed his teeth to him. He catches and he smashes all his teeth, and then he breaks all his bones. Now, even other Rakshasa or other friends of Rukmi and Kalinga who were making fun, now everyone think, oh my god, what? It's us next. It's given in Krishna book that Balaram didn't spare any of them. He catches of each one of them, breaks their bones. Now what did Balaram do at the marriage of Krishna and Rukmini? He comes and he mildly chastises Krishna. For what? Shaving head, right? What did Balaram do now? He killed. But Prabhupada, he says, Krishna, he comes, he doesn't speak any word. Because if he tells to Balaram, hey, this is a marriage occasion, why did you kill? Balaram will get upset. Or if he goes to Rukmini To justify why Balaram killed others, Rukmini will get upset. So Prabhupada says Krishna on this occasion, he chose to keep quiet, to keep his relationship with both of them. But then after that it said, marriage still went on, no problem. After marriage everyone went back to Dwaraka. When Krishna is there, nobody minds any reversals that happen in one's life. Okay, so that's the thing we see here Yadus are experiencing. They don't mind whatever. Because of the only, you will see come across later, there is this demon, Shalva, who gets this huge airplane and he comes and attacks Dwaraka. Why is he attacking Dwaraka? Simply to cause pain to Krishna. Because even demons know how much Dwarkavasis are close to Krishna. They know, if I have to cause pain to Krishna, we tried, we couldn't do anything. So let us now attack his weak point. They are thinking like that. You know how a materialist villain will think. They want to cause some disturbance to somebody, they would think, okay, I would go affect, do something that will pain the person more. That's not good. Okay, generally if you see, even that tendency, offensive tendency will be there. Even among devotees also sometimes you will see. We have to be very, very careful. Sometimes because of aparad one may lose inspiration. Now the proper way to reclaim back that inspiration is, again become humble, go and take shelter of Krishna, go and take shelter of devotees, then we'll be able to get it. Not that I lost my inspiration, so I'll make sure whoever I'm envious of, they will also lose their inspiration. Good luck with that. No, we should keep on persisting on our bhakti to Radha Gopinath. That's all we have to do. Reversals, otherwise they'll come and go. Okay. So here we see this is what happens. But for Yadus, because they are fixed in the service of Krishna. So for us also, we need to be fixed in the service of Radha Gopinath. When our life becomes tough, normal response we give is, okay, let me take a break from Krishna consciousness. I'll fix my life and then I'll come back. You'll go back, you'll never fix your life, 100% will not come back. We have to do everything together. Radhanath Maharaj, he says, continuous improvement is much better than delayed perfection. I always quote that. It's such a lovely saying. Simply put, but very, very profound saying. Continuous improvement. We tend to think it's our karmic tendency. We tend to think, I will take a step back, I'll do something and I'll prove something. And then you come to prove something to Krishna. And Prabhupada says, right, like, if you want to make Krishna laugh, go and tell him about your plans. We try to prove something to Krishna, Krishna will change the situation. What can we do? No, we need to surrender to Krishna. Surrendering to Krishna keeps us in that position where we can practice bhakti nicely. I think I shared this when Gokulasha Prabhu was here. He was saying, to many times you will see somebody may be causing issues. It's not like even nobody wants to cause issue, because everyone knows causing issue means they also go through trouble. But sometimes, because of lack of maturity, you will see, even among devotees, sometimes some may not deal with the devotees properly. And because of that, some devotees may be disturbed. But the devotee who actually caused that offense, if you look around, sometimes they will look very hale and healthy. I remember one devotee told me, Prabhuji, I was upset with one devotee. Actually, he caused me a lot of trouble. And then one day morning he called me. And for 10 minutes he spoke. And I was patiently trying to, remembering Trinada Kisunisha and everything. And after speaking to me for 10 minutes, he said, alright, I have let it out of my head. I feel good now. And this devotee is telling, you feel good, but I feel bad now. So, you come across, immature situations like that. Gokulasha Prabhu says, normally if you see, no, this is not Gokulasha Prabhu saying, this is I'm saying, but normally if you see people like that, people who cause trouble, they will look very healthy, they will look very enthusiastic. Have you come across that? They will have all the energy and you will think, hey, how is this possible? Is Shastra wrong? No. Now Gokulasha Prabhu, I am quoting him. Now he says, To practice bhakti just for 2 hours in a day when you chant japa, for that you can be in whatever mood you can be like, no problem. You can go cause around troubles, no, wherever you go, you cause terror, everything you can do. But if you want to do bhakti 24/7, you need to be following Trinada Pisunishana. There is a big difference between doing bhakti just to survive and doing bhakti to increase the pleasure of Radha Gopinath. Okay, we don't want to practice bhakti because we are scared of our karma. That is a good starting point, which is fine. We don't want to be practicing bhakti, or rather, we don't want to be practicing bhakti only to escape karma. That's a good starting point. We don't want to be practicing bhakti because there's nothing else that's better than here. That's a good starting point. We want to be practicing bhakti because we want to be the object of pleasure of Radha Gopinath. We want to increase the pleasure of Radha Gopinath. Like, I'll give you an idea. This Janmashtami, how many of you have seen the garlands that were worn by all their lordships? Right? Do you know how long it took? We have one garland, Sri Mataji here. Do you know how long it took to make those garlands? We were doing decoration in the altar. Like around 12:30, I was like looking, garlands, still making garland. I'm like, hey, are you guys making, flower dress or something? Normally for flower dress it takes time. Then they showed me the garland. They lifted and I was looking from long. It looked like, how they make for the marriages. 5 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, not just one day. Now it's one thing to just make a garland and you give. You look at the garlands which they offer for Prabhupada. Like every day so much they put the heart. And you may be thinking, people may not even notice it. Krishna notices it. And there is a certain reciprocation which Krishna gives, which only the performer of devotional service can appreciate it. Others can't. That doesn't mean we shouldn't appreciate it. We should. So it's one thing to just make something, you can spend like 5 hours, 6 hours just to make one garland of Radha Gopinath. Or you can just run the needle through some few flowers and you can just put something like that. One is doing just for the sake of it, another one is where you put all your heart. Same as with cooking, same as with kirtan, same as with every service. If we do bhakti just to survive in life, then there are more chances that we will actually give up on bhakti very easily. Correct? Because if that's the motive, then you will practice bhakti only when your life is difficult. Correct? Sometimes you'll come across, hey, I haven't seen you for long. Yeah, last few months, no problem in life. Now why are you here? I have problem. That's not such a big thing. If Krishna sees that, guess what he will do? Okay. Whenever I give problem, this devotee is coming. Okay. So Krishna will give us more problem because Krishna is also very attached to us. He also wants to see us. Okay, so we have to understand when we start bhakti, we can start for whatever reason, no problem. But we should not remain stagnant in that position. If we don't take a healthy challenge in life every single time, then even bhakti can actually become very boring, very hackneyed. Like giving example of garland, okay, 1, 2, 3. Have you come across sometime when you chant, suddenly you think, last round, how did it happen? It's a miracle. You feel like that. You don't know what you did. It just happens like that. When we don't do our devotional service consciously, then life will become very boring, even in bhakti. But when we take each and every step that we do in bhakti, very, very consciously, every time we come to temple, we become eager. Here we see yadus. They are not taking, they are seeing same Krishna again and again, right? But they are not sitting in their home thinking, anyway, Krishna I have seen many times. No, every day they come and they are eagerly awaiting Krishna's arrival. Even the king is coming, awaiting. Ugrasen, who is the king, he is coming and sitting in Dwaraka, waiting for Krishna to come. This should be our eagerness. When we come to take darshan of Radha Gopinath, we have to prepare our consciousness that way. Okay, I am going to see the Lord now. Lord is also going to see me. So let me not come in pajamas. Let me come properly dressed. Okay, if you see, this is why in our culture, when we go to temple, we go dressed properly. When I am coming to temple, let me bring, I am seeing the Supreme Lord, seeing the King, let me carry some gift for him. Prabhupada says, whenever you come to temple, you bring one flower and one fruit. You can buy a kg of apple for what? $2 now? $4. I forgot buying in kg. Now we buy in boxes, in temple. Bring something for Krishna. Krishna doesn't need anything. Anyway, whatever we offer to him, he gives us back anyway. Correct? But when we offer something from ourselves, then we feel satisfied. Our life becomes perfect and we stand to gain so much immense, incalculable spiritual benefit, material benefit as well. Okay, so we come, we offer some dakshina. We come, we offer one flower to Krishna. We come, offer little flower. Hear about Krishna. Chant about Krishna. In this way, by these simple acts of bhakti, which we can practice in 64 different types. If you want to know exactly what are those 64 different types of bhakti, get a copy of Nectar of Devotion. You will find it in the book table outside and you can read. Where, what are the different ways how you can practice bhakti is given in elaborate detail. Simple acts only. Like coming to temple. What benefit you get by coming to temple? If you know, read the Shastri quotes which is given in that book, you will feel more inspired. Hey, I didn't know visiting Krishna's temple once and going back home, this is equivalent to doing 100 Ashwamedha. Really? We have done so many things, let me try this also. Okay, try. Do you know even looking at Tulasi, we have Tulsi garden. When you come inside, you can see where you leave your shoes, you can just see Tulsi. If you haven't, on your way out, you can actually take a look. Simply looking at it, it's given, once guaranteed to go back to Vaikuntha. On the way here, you see so many plants. Just see one other plant, what's your problem? But in order to know this simple fact, you need to read something, you need to hear something. That's why Prabhupada wrote 84 books, translated in English, Hindi, Gujarati, Tamil, Kannada, anything. You go to the book table, you will find. Take one book, it's enough. You can just read. One simple fact you read. Likewise, what benefit you get by wearing tilak? What benefit you get by coming in front of Radha Gopinath, making them look? Do you know when you come in front of Radha Gopinath, whatever karma you have, any bad karmic reaction that you have, you carry, you come right in front of Radha Gopinath and let them see you. You seeing is okay, but they have to see you. Simply stand there, it's like scanning, and you'll get wiped off all your bad karma. There are many times we do mistakes in life, we can't go back and do anything about it. You simply come in front of Radha Gopinath and just let them see you. Stand in front of Jagannath Baladev. Can you see Baladev from here? He smiles big. Come in front of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, in front of Gaur Nitai, let them see you. And when they see you, you will be infused with so much spiritual energy. All our karmic reactions will go away. What's your problem? We go everywhere, come here, stand for 10 seconds and go. Easy. That's how powerful bhakti is. That's why anything that we do, we need to be very conscious why we are doing, what we are doing, like that. So practicing bhakti just for survival is good. It's a good starting point. Krishna still gives credit. Chaturveda bhajante mam jana shukriti no Arjuna. Krishna is still calling everyone as pious. Shukriti only Krishna is saying. Artha jignasu jnani cha bharata rishabha. So for whatever reason one can come, that's fine. But our bhakti should not stay stagnant at that place. It has to go one step further, one step further, one step further, like that. Then, even when we grow old, we won't feel bad, we won't feel scared of death, because we know every day is actually spent in service of Krishna. Even a little time, it's spent in service of Krishna, spent in service of Krishna. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little bhakti which one does will protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Okay, we'll stop there. And we'll continue next week. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.